Hello.
Yo, yo, yo.
What's going on?
Trying to eat some dinner.
What kind of dinner you got?
I got pork chops. Pork chops and applesauce.
Wow. What a lucky guy. I got nothing. I'm over here at the office just watching Jake the Snake.
Hey, how's that going?
Oh, man. It's freaking nuts, dude.
Wait, watching or listening?
Well, I'm on YouTube.
Oh, okay. The Joe Rogan episode, right?
Yeah.
Pork chops and applesauce.
I had some applesauce last night. Very underrated.
Really? You did? For real?
Yeah.
Oh, wow. That's from another Brady Bunch. Pork chops and applesauce.
Yeah, I wouldn't have known that.
Come on, now.
I didn't watch Brady Bunch.
Did you, did you see the Brady Bunch parody movies?
No.
Alright, you have to watch them.
Okay.
I think I asked you a few years ago on the show.
Yeah, still haven't seen it, I guess. I'm thinking about renting this Jake the Snake Resurrection.
Oh, yeah. When he was at the DDP's house for the, trying to bring Jake the Snake back. Get him off the drugs and alcohol, and it was really good.
The Resurrection of the Snake.
Yep.
Yeah, you can get it on YouTube, $4.
I just, I got some stuff done. I forgot to post the last episode to YouTube,
Okay,
and so I finished that. I got that up on YouTube right now.
good.
So, any listeners like that like to listen on YouTube like Jason does, there you go. Go to Radio Impound on YouTube and subscribe and hit that little notification bell anytime I upload something. Boom.
Yeah, I like to listen on YouTube for some reason.
Yeah, you put it in the background and
Mm-hmm.
as you're taking a nap at J Concepts there.
That's right. So what episode number are we in?
184.
Nice. Dude, we're just clicking them off, man.
This is gonna be like a surprise episode because we didn't even post anything.
It's just gonna be like, boom, another episode.
What? I think we kind of decided like today, didn't we? Just like the other
sort
day, I
of.
think. Yeah, we were just like, let's record on Tuesday before you leave for what race you going to now?
Indoor National Series Finals.
Well, this is the big one right here, right?
Yeah, this is the final for our series, and
The spring series.
no, this is
the fall one.
no. This is the national series is all year long, and that's the one you're thinking is a Super Cup.
Oh, okay. So this is the J Concepts Indoor National Series.
That's it. Yeah.
And that runs from when to when? Usually?
We start in February and we end in December.
Oh, wow.
But there's 5 total races, so there's a lot of space between events.
Yeah, that's cool though.
That's just the kind of the way it worked out.
So we gather all the results from the 5 races.
Mm-hmm.
You're allowed to drop one?
Drop 2, actually.
Oh, drop 2. Wow.
Yeah.
Okay. And then determine the champion.
Yeah.
Or champions, I guess I would say, right?
Yeah. There's going to be, I can look at the points, but there's 4 or 5 classes where everybody made the complete tour. Enough races to qualify. And yeah, so just putting that together. It's going to be a good race. This will probably be the first or the second deepest field we've ever had at one of our events. So yeah, kind of looking forward to it.
And then and this is when we have the banquet then.
No, the Super Cup has the banquet, which that'll be January or February.
Okay.
Yeah, this series we do the awards after the last event, and yeah, it's kind of it's kind of some thrashing right at the end to get the points updated and everything, but we get her done.
Well, so then the Super Cup is ending soon then too.
The Super Cup is already over for the year.
Okay, and then you have the banquet coming up in January or something.
Yeah, that's right.
All right, cool. How many races is the Super Cup? 5?
It's 8 total races, but it's split up into 2 sessions, which is what you were thinking of. Is we have the spring and the fall sessions. We have 4 races in the spring, 4 in the fall. We're actually considering changing that up a little this year.
Oh yeah.
We haven't made a complete decision, but but we do have some plans to change things up a little this year, which I think, I don't know, should be kind of interesting.
I gotta check and see if this fucker's recorded.
Oh shit!
You gotta remind me when I get online. I'm pretty confident it is, but we'll see.
Okay.
I don't see my Yeah, good. Okay. So I forget where we're at.
Yeah, just going over the Super Cup, we're thinking about changing it up a little bit next year on the amount of races and doing some different things. Got some ideas.
Oh, some new ideas going around.
Yeah, I mean, we're thinking about mixing it up and changing some things the way we're doing it. And
now, where can I go for all those updates? Just jconcepts.net somewhere on there, or do you have like a special site for this stuff?
We actually have if you go to our site, Concepts, there is a tab for events. Huh. Then there's a tab for Super Cup. And then that's where all our latest info is. So we got the latest results will be showing on there. And then the results that were just before that. So we always put everything up there after each event.
Have you ever gone to these races and found a new talent?
All the time.
Yeah.
But you usually kind of see it coming a little bit in a sense. Like you can see kind of a build-up of, a guy. Damon Borkowitz, we saw him on the Super Cup first. Is
that where you first met him?
Yeah, in a way.
Yeah. First time you saw him race, probably. Yeah.
I saw him race when he was a really young kid at his local track, just because, I don't know, I was like term marshaling or something. But I think that's where I first saw him. But then he came to the Super Cup, and, he would be the little kid that would, like, come over and want to wash your tires and,
right.
do all, and we're just like, who's this kid, like, washing our tires? But then, you kind of,
you just piled a bunch of tires on them. Here,
that's what Paul used to do. Paul would just be like, all right, you're washing tires.
Here you go, kid.
Yep. And it worked out pretty well, though.
Yeah.
And it's nice because what's cool about that type of stuff is it's so innocent. It's such an innocent thing because the kid, is referring to him, or the kids are so into it at that particular time, and they just love being there and like racing, and when they get older, it's just they get a little more jaded, and a little more used to everything, and it's just not, everybody can go through that, but that's kind of how some of that stuff happens. But yeah, it was really it's really kind of a fun period when these kids start racing, and they're just really enthusiastic. And
I don't know, like in the old days, I would think like if a Jason Ruona was watching me race, I'd be like, oh, I gotta do good because I want to try and get on the team, stuff like that. I just wonder if stuff like that happens today.
I think it does a little bit. Yeah, it's hard to say. Some people tell you things. Some people don't really tell you things. They don't come back later and tell you,
Like, can you, if somebody came up to you and said, hey, watch this kid, he's good, and you watch him, can you tell if the kid's going to be legit?
No way.
Not just from one race. You gotta.
No. Yeah, because what you can't tell is, it's like because every parent thinks their kid is the next superstar.
Right.
So, they kind of see through. They only see their kids through the superstar eyes.
I don't think my dad ever thought that of me when he watched me race.
Yeah, that's a possibility.
Yeah, I think he was more along the lines of, man, this is a waste of money.
He's like, God, what are we doing here?
Good Lord.
Whew, I hope he gets out of this soon.
Yeah. He stopped taking me after a while. Maybe that's why he was all embarrassed. Anyway.
It's very rarely do you bump in, the parents are just so, they just see it so much differently when it's their kids, and so it's tough to speak with them about it at times because they got like these stars in their eyes, and I remember talking to somebody one time, and when these kids are 13, 14 years old, you can pretty much tell already, if they have the speed or the ability. And if you don't really have it at that age, you can't, it's not going to be very possible for you to make it a career, which is fine. Anybody can, it's supposed to be fun. It's supposed to be a hobby. It doesn't have to be a career. So that's why it's funny where it really shouldn't be about your results. The parents, they get really hung up on sometimes the why they're there and what they're getting, trying to pressure people into different things or sponsorships or whatever. And it's like you're kind of forgetting why you're doing this.
Yeah.
But anyway, you can tell a certain amount of talent that a driver has when you watch right away, but you can't tell if they're going to make it all the way because there's way too much. It's just like when you hear another NBA player come in or an athlete, and I know you guys don't like Jordan, but they always say, he's the next Michael Jordan, and all, they just, something they saw reminded them of that guy, and then they start saying, oh, this guy's the next Jordan. You're just like, well, and it never happens. It's very rare that, I remember people telling Damon, oh, you're the next Ryan Mayfield,
Oh, really?
And yeah, and it's so unfair to him because he's so young to begin with that he was just wanting to race and have fun. Like, he wasn't sure he wants to be as fast as he can, but it's also like, I don't think he's at that time, he's sitting there thinking, I got to measure up to Mayfield. Like, he's just thinking, I like this. This is fun. I'm out here with some buddies and we're racing, I'm doing well. But you had adults telling him he was like the next Ryan Mayfield. And he's found out over the years that you don't just turn into the next Ryan Mayfield because somebody says that you are. You have to still earn it. And over the years, people find out how difficult that really is. But yeah, like you said, you can't just see these kids and sure, you can say, oh yeah, he can turn a fast lap and he's got a good knack for this and and I am saying he, it's not really correct. There's a lot of she racers now too. So he and she's, but you can see a lot of quickness out of some of these kids, but there's so much more to it than that. It's not just about that one lap that you can do, and you got to come a long ways to be that next Ryan Mayfield or that next Cavallari. I mean, there is a long ways to go. And there's people still trying to get to that level. They have the talent, they have the support, they have the dedication, they have it all, and they still haven't surpassed some of these people, which shows you how good they are at it. So, yeah, that's a kind of a big thing.
So who discovered, you may have covered this in the past episode, who discovered Mayfield then? Like, how did it all go down?
Well, I think really the way it happened, he was an Arizona racer. His parents got him into it. And you could tell when he was a young kid that he had the talent. Because we went there for some Cactus Classics, and I got to see him race when he was in stock, and he was really young.
What are we talking? How old, approximately?
Yeah, he was probably about 9, I'd say. He started when he was 6.
Wow.
So his parents had him driving cars, or his dad did, out in front of their house on the road when he was 6. And they told him that if you can, I'm going to put paper plates out here on the street, and as soon as you can go where I tell you to go, then we'll go to the track. So he finally got to the point where he could drive around the paper plates, and then they took him to the track, and then he started racing there. And when I first saw him race, at this point he was probably about 9-ish. It's in the mid-90s, and he was fast. He could do the fast laps like these, like we talked about earlier, like some of the other kids. But you could tell his equipment, it wasn't up to, maybe his driving was a little bit ahead of his equipment. But at the same time, mentally, he had a tough time as a kid because I think there was some high expectations put on him when he was racing. And he had a tough time, I think, dealing with that pressure that was put on him to drive a good race. And so he was the 9-year-old that would be crying after the races and stuff, but he kept racing, and he didn't really, have the type of money to travel around, but he could do the Cactus Classic, and he could go and do the Reedy race. So they raced the Reedy race. This is the first time I remember him doing really well. Was his parents brought him to the Reedy race at M&M, and I want to say he got 2nd or 3rd in the open class. And he had these bright pink wheel dots on his car, the old Yokomo bright pink wheel dots. He had, it was, I wouldn't say a similar paint job to what he has now, but he still had that pink. That's why that pink orange is still in his body because he's kind of always had that. But it's not that he's just this huge fan of pink or something. But that's just been in his body the whole time since he was racing. Then his dad painted his bodies, and that's so.
Yeah, it's pretty cool that he keeps it in there. Yeah.
Yeah, and so he did really good at that race. I remember looking at his car after the mains. It was sitting there on a table, and he was really young. And I didn't, because he's like 9 or 10. And sometimes when these kids are 9 or 10, you're kind of wondering when you're talking to them if are they getting what I'm saying to them, or
yeah.
Right. You don't know how you know what I mean. It's like
people feel like that when they talk to me today.
But but I'm like, man, he did a great job on the track at that race. It was really the first time I'd ever seen him, because I saw him at the Cactus Classic, and he would race, but he would, it would be like he'd be on this like magical run for like 2 minutes, and then the last 2 minutes would be a disaster, and then there would be like, then it was like 3 minutes of a great race, and then like the last minute is a disaster, So, and then at the Reedy race, which is really strange because it's not like he went there to practice, so he picked up on that track, which is really kind of different than running at Arizona's Cactus Classic track, and he got there, and he was just really good in the open class, and the competition there was amazing because it's like we talked about last week or the last show, where you go to these tracks and there's the hometown heroes that have tons of runs on that local track, and that's all the guys he was racing when he was like 9 or 10 years old. So he shows up, races the open class, and it's against all the local heroes, and he ends up getting on the podium. So that was the first time I saw him run really well, and then he kind of disappeared for a little while. I think he got a little older, 15, 16, maybe a little trouble here or there, I don't know. And then all of a sudden, they debuted the B4 at the Cactus Classic in, I don't remember the year, I think it was 2004. Or no. Yeah. 2000. I'm trying to get this right.
So he did disappear for a little bit.
Yeah, he was still racing, I think, locally, but he got a little older. So it was like he went from being, 10, 11, 12 years old to where he was in his, you're in your teens, and then, maybe it's just not quite the same.
Yeah.
So I think he was still racing, but just not, you're not racing as a younger kid with all this support as a parental support in terms of money. You start to get a little bit older, and you probably have to pay for some of your own things, and so it's different. I don't know the exact situation. I just remember when I saw him racing at Cactus, saw him racing at the Reedy race, and then they went to debut this B4, and I can't remember what year it was. It was either 02 or 03, because we ran the 2003 Worlds was in Minray. We were already running the B4, so it had to be early that year, 2003. They debuted the B4, and he was a sponsored driver by Associated at that time, because Mike Reedy, who was known for picking up, younger kids that were good racers, he had given Ryan and his family a sponsorship through Reedy, which also gave them an Associated sponsorship. And he got a B4, and one of the first ones from the production kits, and he TQ'd and won the Cactus. Wow. And I think he was 16. Yeah, either 16 or 17. And he was just a partially sponsored driver, and he won modified, not stock. So, he went from being 9, 10 years old to, putting in these 2-minute hero runs, 3-minute runs, and then he was able to start putting together complete qualifiers. And then, of course, on his home track, he was a real threat. So then, he started running modified. And then in modified, he got this B4. He's got a little older, a little mature, and pretty soon he's putting together whole races, and he ended up winning the thing. So, and that's kind of what got him going. And then at that time, Brent and then Reedy kind of retired from Associated, I believe. And then Brent took over as the team manager. And he got out of school, got out of college. He took the job with Associated, got on as a team manager, and they started helping out Ryan more because Brent knew him from living in Arizona, and started giving him some, extra support through Associated. And Reedy got him to a couple races, and he performed well when he did go. And he kind of was right behind Cavallari and Tebow in terms of they were a little bit ahead of him in terms of support, I think. They had a little more support than him a little sooner. But he's exactly the same age. So they kind of came together very, very similar times, but in definitely different ways. And so, pretty soon he wins this Cactus Classic. He's a partially sponsored driver. Brent takes over the team manager position. Knew Ryan from when he was a kid, like others from Arizona, and said, "Hey, this is somebody we could kind of help along a little more." They helped him go to a few races. It wasn't long after that we gave him the BJ4 to race, and kind of got involved with his racing So when we went to the Worlds in 2005 in Italy, Ryan was 18 there, had never been out of the country, and never been to a Worlds before. And he TQ'd 4-wheel drive, his first Worlds he ever went to.
Wow.
So, but yeah, it's hard to go from, being that kid that can turn fast laps to doing a great 2 or 3 minutes, and then putting together 5 minutes, showing what you can do on your home track against really good drivers, then taking what that gives you, getting to the next level, and then showing what you got there. And that's what he was able to do. Every time he was given a opportunity, he basically took advantage of it and showed what he had. And I think that's what he had to do, and that's the reason he's at where he's at. And it wasn't always easy for him, it definitely wasn't the easiest path to get there, but ultimately he turned into a good driver because his parents helped him at the beginning, and maybe they expected a lot out of him watching him race, and somehow that turned into helping him a little bit down the road, I think, because he maybe expected a lot out of himself. And then when he got the opportunity, he did something with it.
Yeah.
And there's a lot to be said for that. And a lot of people get opportunities, they can't show it. Because they're not ready, or they're not mentally up to the challenge, and he was able to do that. So that's it's pretty nuts. I mean, but it's rare. It's really, really rare. I mean, there's obviously a lot more to the story, but that's the short version. If I can tell a short version.
Okay. Well, I always wonder about that stuff. If you keep an eye out, and then just track the kid's progress, see how he's doing still, stuff like that. I know when we were at Trinity, we used to get, a hobby shop would talk to us and be like, "Hey, you guys got to watch this kid." You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. And then, you would see how he's doing, see how he's progressing.
Yeah, we do that. We got people that give us, their 2 cents about so and so. And the other thing is people, they get invested in certain people because they're also. It's like when you scout somebody and you think they're the next big thing, and like now all of a sudden you're cheering for that person because it's like your discovery, right?
Yeah.
So I see that quite a bit where people are like, man, this kid, this is amazing. You got to see this. And it's like and I try not to blow anybody off because you kind of get jaded in this because everybody says they got, you got to see this guy. He's the next, That's like, look, man, I've seen all these guys.
Yeah.
But I try to check it out. It's like if you hear something, you're like, I gotta see this guy. I gotta see this guy race.
Yeah.
And it's interesting because it really is hard to call it. It's hard to make the call. It's hard to say who's going to be the next top racer because you really don't know. It is kind of you can tell, you can guess.
So it's just a wait and see to see what he does, or he or she, and then just go from there then, and then decide if you want to throw a sponsorship behind him.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, I mean,
I guess there is no
It actually is. It is kind of fun to watch people come up in this, and and try to help them and see how far it can go. To me, that's kind of part of it. Watching that type of stuff and trying to see the next really good racer is going to be, but it's not easy. That's for sure. I mean, it's definitely not easy, and nobody, despite everybody thinking they know certain things, they don't really know. So you gotta really pay attention, and then at the end, you're still taking, you're still kind of guessing and but it's part of the magic of the whole thing, I think, and see who makes it.
Yeah, like I was good at my local track.
Mm-hmm.
Take me outside of my local track, and I fell apart.
I mean, we talked about it before, and
that's the thing. You got to be able to race everywhere.
Yeah, and that's the thing is if you're only evaluating somebody based on how they do at their home track,
but you know what?
You're getting their best. You're getting their absolute best.
Now that I'm thinking about it, though, it really doesn't have to be like that because I remember back in the Trinity days, we would look for guys that were good at their local track, sponsor them, hoping that in return the hobby shop would stock, because they see the fast guy run our stuff, so the hobby shop would stock our stuff then. Because everybody would be like, look at Jason. Jason's running Trinity motors and whatever, and so then the hobby shop would be ordering that. So, I don't know.
Yeah, I think what you're describing is the beginning levels of sponsorship, which is guys that do well, they're influential, and they carry some weight locally, and that's the beginning levels of sponsorship. And then it's, well, now can this guy go anywhere? Does he travel? And now he's becoming something other than the local influential guy. Now he's becoming more of a travel, a travel star. And
but I mean,
and then when you go further than that, now you're saying, all right, wow, this guy is really taking it to another level. Now he's going over here. Now he's being a threat doing this. And you're like, man, this guy is really something. And let's see, how did I write this? I'm just gonna read this how it is. I typed this up. I don't even know what's the date on this.
What's this for?
I wrote this a long time ago, and I haven't read it for a while. And let's just see what it says.
I don't even know what you're talking about. Okay, yeah.
So we're talking about sponsorships. We're talking about people,
Mm-hmm.
their levels, home track dude guys.
Right.
So here's what I got. A 50% type of guy, and not everybody has these levels of sponsorships, but this is just kind of what I made up at that time. I think I did this has got to be 6-7 years ago.
Oh, wow.
I got 50% sponsorships. Typically, the opening sponsorship offer to a driver that shows promise, has been active for a couple years, and is influential in the racing community. Wow, I just said this. I didn't even look at this yet.
Yeah, look at that. Wow.
Should be capable of making the A mains at regional events, battling for podium position. Ideally, it'd be nice if they're winning. All right? I saw that was what I wrote. I wrote this 6 or 7 years ago.
Wow.
Now we got the next level, which, the next percentage has shown a performance commitment improvement over a period of the next couple years. Driver has started to travel out of the state, showing similar promise as they have their racing as they have on their home track. I just freaking said this too. Haven't looked at this forever.
That's crazy.
Vehicles have professional-looking appearance, carrying appropriate sponsorship logos. Driver wears appropriate race gear, travel, and stands behind the product they support. Yeah, okay. Regularly submits racer reports showing an active and successful racing calendar. Routinely wins races. Is ranked as one of the better drivers in their area and has shown a knack for influencing other decisions when it comes to product choices and setups. Oh, this is good.
Yeah.
All right. So that was the next level. Okay, so now we got the third level. All right.
Okay.
Is hands down one of the better drivers in the region, capable of winning events in multiple classes in the modified classes, travels out of the area and earns results near their home potential. Man, look at all this, just really tying in.
Yeah.
Driver carries himself professionally and always has the time to help others. Vehicles have professional-looking appearance, carrying appropriate logos. Driver wears appropriate race gear apparel and stands behind the products. Regularly submits race reports. Driver influences racers, tracks, and hobby stores, and has a direct impact on sales for the manufacturers they represent. So just what you were talking about with your Trinity thing.
Mm-hmm.
Other drivers trust their decisions and directly influences a group of racers. So, that's pretty obvious. This guy's like the badass, the badass guy in the area, or one of the badass guys in the area. People look to him and they trust what he's doing. So when I wrote this, the next level, which I'm just going to say is 100% racer. I'm just going to read this without reading it myself. This driver has fame, mystique. Wow, it's J.R. Mitch! ! That's how I wrote this 7 years ago. Typically considered one of the best drivers in their area and region, and has traveling experience showing amazing results on a national level. So there you go. Consistently a threat to win in just about any vehicle they put their hands on. Drivers want to see their vehicles, setups, general knowledge, and ability on the track. Driver carries himself professionally, helps others. Vehicles have the professional look. Driver wears the appropriate apparel, submits racing reports, and other drivers trust their decisions.
Wow.
So then we have that's even beyond that. I just simply put, this guy is a badass. Has the fame, mystique, and professionalism of all the above categories, as well as the ability to back up the hype with the results. Driver is well liked and respected and has world potential. Has the unique ability to deliver on cue and hasn't lost sight of why they are sponsored and supported in the hobby. And drivers, tracks, and hobby stores simply support what they use.
Wow.
Here's what we got. And then I put at the bottom the model of what I felt like somebody that was going through the ranking at that particular time was Barry Pettit. Barry is one driver that we started working with, and is the perfect example of the scale. Barry is is a model of the racing support and sponsorship program, working his way up each year. He has never asked for anything and consistently has nothing but good things to say about J Concepts, while turning in results and well-written race reports and photos. So I was just, at the time, I was trying to make an example for somebody. Hey, this guy's started here and now he's here. I think at that time, he started when I saw him in the airport when he was a kid with his dad at one of the races. We started sponsoring them shortly after that, and then the kid was racing, doing better, working his way up, getting faster, and pretty soon he was going to nationals. He was at the Worlds with us at 2 different Worlds, and we went to Thailand and Argentina together. Well, they were there. We didn't travel together, but they were there when we were there. And he was fast as hell. He was competitive at the Worlds. And, he started as the kid in the airport that we were talking to about racing. So at the time, he was the guy that I wrote in here. But this totally applies to what we were just talking about. And yeah, I got a lot of stuff in here that I wrote. It's pretty funny, but it's still true.
Yeah,
good stuff. I called it the ladder to success.
The ladder to success.
Yep.
By Jason Ruona.
Send you guys this. You and Kirby, you'll like it. People are going to ask to see this whole thing now that we're talking about this.
The blueprint to success.
Yeah, I just remember it was fun, kind of writing this, because you think about a lot of these things, but, you don't really. It was kind of nice to write some of them down and how you were thinking at that time.
So this was just notes to yourself here.
Yeah, mostly. Yeah, it was mostly based off of people asking us things. Because what I wrote was frequently asked questions, which was, can I be sponsored? How do I get sponsored? How do I move up in my sponsorship? How come I'm not sponsored? And what is a resume? That was my frequently asked question. So I started on this tangent of kind of explaining these different levels people see and how they got there, and so I'll send this over to you guys. You'll like that. Yeah, so we got off on that, but that's all good stuff. I mean, it really still applies today, and it actually probably applies more so today than it even did back then, and it's holding up over time. This kind of leads into one of our next things, but we kind of promised people we would talk about the IOCC event, and you said you had people ask you about it.
Yeah,
because we referenced. Oh, let's wait. We'll talk about this later, but we kind of got late on that last show. But
yeah, I thought you did talk about it. I thought
we started.
Yeah. I was like, oh shit, we did talk.
Yeah,
about it.
We started, and then it was like we kind of got. We wanted to hit the questions.
Yeah.
Yeah, so the IOCC in Vegas, Scotty rents that building. We did a video with him during the event where he kind of describes how that event came to be and how it is today. But, he has to rent a room at a hotel in Vegas, and it's expensive. And so that's a big thing is getting that room. He had this idea to bring an off-road race to the table inside, and
so he goes there twice a year then, right?
Well, this is once a year.
But I mean, he does an on-road one and then an off-road.
Well, that's what's different about this is he does them all together. He first runs the on-road race, then they rebuild the track as an off-road track, and then
Christ.
they do the off-road race.
So they're there for the whole week.
It's well, he told me in total when he got there, and when he got there to when he left, he was there something like it's somewhere between 15 and 20 days.
Well, that's right, because when you guys were at the Worlds, he had the on-road.
He was starting to set up while we were at the Worlds. Then he ran the on-road race.
Okay.
Then he has to tear down, build the off-road. And it's not just him. He's got great helpers.
Right.
A lot of people that are there with him. Walt Henderson's just one of the guys I remember off the top of my head. But, they got great people helping. But they got to build this whole track. And it starts with, you get this room at the Westgate Hotel. Awesome big room. Air conditioning, it's got carpet on the ground, but you can't race on the carpet. So first of all, they have to build a subfloor. So 2x4s, plywood, build a subfloor. Then he puts brand new CRC carpet on it. So the latest, greatest carpet, rolls it out and then builds the layout, driver stand, bleachers, announcers. The area where he does the announcing and all the race management is an elevated area, which actually looks really cool. In the driver's stand, of course, elevated. And so, do all that, run the on-road race. Then they take the track and start building jumps and add all the jumps. And they build everything. They build everything there, put carpet over the top of it, and then off-road guys check in, and then they start racing. So
wow. That is crazy. I did not know that.
Yeah, so we came in just for the off-road version. We're the control tire there this year, just trying to support the event. Part of him getting that, the ability for him to have the race there was that, he can't choose the very best dates because, of course, Vegas is going to control the rate that they rent it to him for based off of the demand. So that's why it was over Thanksgiving. That's a more affordable time for him to rent that space. So our off-road race was during Thanksgiving. So that was a little different.
So it's like the Cleveland race,
it's exactly like that.
Yeah, and I think I asked you guys in chat, and I was like, oh, the Cleveland race is still going on. So you had the Cleveland race going on, you had this going on. I'm sure. Well, no, I guess the guys that raced on road probably went up to Cleveland then, right?
Well, that was tough, because and he knows that he was up against Cleveland, who, they've obviously been around forever doing that race. Was it the 27th annual or 32nd annual? I can't remember.
But he's racing off road during Cleveland.
Yeah. So he had his on road race before Cleveland, but then his off road race fell on the same time as Cleveland.
So I bet you some of those guys from the on road went up to Cleveland, huh?
I wouldn't be surprised if there was a couple guys that ran both events, but I think in all reality, if you're paying for it yourself, you probably have to choose one or the other.
Yeah, right. I wonder how Cleveland's drawing.
It was great.
Yeah?
They had 400 plus entries.
Wow.
Which, these days,
God damn.
With all the classes, that are out there, that's probably 200 guys or a little less.
Yeah, that's true.
But it's still good.
Yeah.
It's still good. It's still healthy.
And it's still going on. Jeez. I wonder what they're up to now.
Well, that's what I was saying. 27th, 32nd annual, something like that.
Oh, wow. Yeah.
So this race, the one thing he did for the racers is if you're racing the off-road side, he did a Thanksgiving dinner. So we had a one of the nights, Thanksgiving night, we had a full dinner catered from the hotel, all, turkey, ham, the whole thing. And, it's in a big room. It looks like a wedding. And
you mean a funeral?
It was great. So we all got our Thanksgiving meal with all the racers. That was packed in there. I had some photos I took while we were in there, and then so we had that's part of your race entry. Each racer got a meal ticket for that, and then the next night they had a taco and beer night, which was another thing provided to the racers. So not only are you staying there at the hotel during that time of the year, which he gets a good rate. It was like $60 a night to stay at the Westgate.
Yeah.
And that's a great rate these days for a hotel. And specifically considering when we're on the road these days, you're very lucky to get under $100 at any race hotel. And when you're staying at like a Holiday Inn, they're still over $100 usually.
Mm-hmm.
So you're staying at the Vegas hotel, $60, and it's nice in there, and it's a little pricey to eat in Vegas, but you got those two meal nights, you got those 2 nights where it's provided by the race, so it's not all that bad. Ran the race itself. It's top notch. You get 2 or 3 practice runs. One day you got 2, the next day, something like that. Maybe we got 5 runs total of practice, which is all controlled. It's not like the random stand in the line, get on the driver's stand. Like it's all in your heat race, and you go up and you run a 5-minute practice, come down, turn marshal. So super professional, and when you're going to race, there's a time schedule. Usually Scotty has a time schedule. So if you want to go out and do something in Vegas, like Allison left several times, and she's like, well, I'm going to go over to,
She's like,
this
Jason,
hotel.
give me the credit card. I'm going out shopping.
No.
Jason's like, oi.
She doesn't buy anything. She's I'm the one that buys stuff.
Yeah.
So she was like, I'm going to go over to the Cosmopolitan Hotel, and what was kind of cool is like Brent Telke's wife was there, so she could kind of go with her over to a different hotel. So, we're racing, and they got a chance to go out and see a couple things. Allison's family came out there, and she got to show them a little bit of Vegas. They'd never been there before. And they actually got to do the Thanksgiving meal with us from the race, too, so it was cool. In the hotel itself, they have the Vegas shows. So there's one they call Sexy, which I haven't been to that show yet, but it's like a burlesque thing or something.
Oh.
And then they have another one.
I think you have to be a certain height to go into those, Jason.
That's why I couldn't get in. Okay. Well, now everything kind of makes a little more sense. So they also have a magic, Jen Kramer magic show that I actually went to in the hotel. That was really cool because we're out, just the racing or practice was over, and they got the little hotel bar, so the racers are kind of down there and talking crap, having a couple beers, and I see this line forming, and people are getting autographs, and I'm like, what is this all about?
Oh, Kirby was there?
No, he wasn't there. He'd be up in his hotel playing games.
Well, you said autographs, signing autographs. That was Kirby.
Shoot 'em up games.
Yeah. So somebody's signing autographs there, huh?
Yeah. So I'm like, what the hell is this? And I go over to the table, and the lady's like, oh, are you coming out? You want to get an autograph? I'm like, no, I'm just hanging out. I don't know what this is all about. They're like, well, this is, you can stay in a line and get Jen Kramer's autograph. She's the magician here at the Westgate Hotel, and she just finished her show, so everyone comes out of the show, and then you can meet her after the show. So I'm like, all right, well, I didn't go to the show, but I'll meet Jen Kramer, right? So I stand in line, I get up there, and I didn't even go to her show. I'm just getting in line for an autograph. So I'm like, I need something for you to sign. So she hands me like kind of her business card type of thing. She's like, oh, we can sign these. She's like, "Do you have a show ticket? We could sign the show tickets." I'm like, "No, I didn't go to a show." So she signs this business card, and so she starts to sign it.
Right.
And I'm just thinking to myself, when you did the yearbook signings and people would put, "Oh, stay cool."
Yeah. Yeah, right.
So she starts to sign it, and she puts "stay," and I go, "Oh, cool." And she goes, and then she keeps writing, and she just looks at me, and she goes, "magical." And I'm like, "Oh, that makes sense."
Oh.
I'm like, "Oh, yeah, that makes sense."
You're like, I see what you did there.
Yeah, I see what you did there. So then, they take your picture with her. So I posted that on Instagram. And
imagine if Joel Johnson was in line and she wrote "Stay magical." Hey.
And he would just be like, "This is weird." And then Magic Johnson standing behind him going,
Yeah.
So, yeah, I took a picture with her and then I put it on Instagram. Oh, while I was talking to her, I told her while I was there, while I was at the reason I was at the hotel is because we were having an RC race down the hall. And
she's like, "A what?"
Yeah. And what's funny is I put it on Instagram, this photo of her, and I tagged her in it, and she said, and then later she goes and comments, "Thanks for stopping by and good luck at your race tomorrow." So I was impressed with her her follow through.
Oh, yeah, that is impressive. Oh, here's the picture I'm looking at now. Oh, wow, no wonder why you stood in line. Wow, that's a cool shirt, dude. Where'd you get that? You got that at the beach shop there.
Yeah, I
didn't know you got that shirt.
Yeah, I got the Hollywood
Hulk Hogan. Damn, that's cool.
Jen Kramer.
Good Lord, Jen Kramer. Hello.
And you know what? She was very good because we did this all backwards.
Are you talking about
we did this all backwards because then after I met her and I tagged her in a photo and I didn't even know who she was because I was just doing it for fun.
I'm following her now.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. So, and then I told her, I'm like, all right, I said, maybe we'll come to your show in the next couple of days. So I did. We went and got tickets. We went to her show, and it's about a 250 seat little, room that she does the show in, and she was really good. It was a fun thing, and actually Allison got called on stage for one of her acts.
Oh, really? Wow.
Yeah, during the show, so it was pretty fun. Kind of added to the.
Jason's like, "Make her disappear, please, make her disappear."
Poof.
Yes. JenKramerMagic.com.
So yeah, I'll kind of do this short, but she says at the beginning of the show, a lock box drops from the ceiling. It sits on a stool, and she has a key around her neck, and she opens up the box, and she said, and she tells the crowd, "All right, I'm going to use this box. Will be part of something later on, but I just wanted to show you that this key opens the box. It's around my neck, and what we're going to do now is I'm just going to raise the box to the top here, and you guys can watch it for the whole show if you want, and then it'll be part of the show later." So during this whole show, she's got her different things, this and that. And that box is still up there, hanging from this hook. And so we get to the last trick of the night, and she does the who's this is a little bit of a promo, but she's like, who around here does do you guys do social media? Yeah. You got a Facebook account? Yeah. You got Instagram? Yeah. She's like, all right, well, this is where Allison gets on stage, and Allison, introduces, to the crowd. Then she goes behind the screen. She pulls a screen down that looks like a Facebook page. Mm-hmm. And it's blank, like where your name is. It's blank, like where your, in your relationship status is blank, and something over here is blank. So it's got Allison standing behind the screen. You can see her face, like where your profile picture would be.
Okay.
And so then she has the Jen Kramer has this little thumbs up cardboard cutout. She's like, I'm going to throw this into the crowd, and then I'm going to ask you a question. So she throws this thumbs up thing into the crowd. Somebody catches it, and they say, what, who's Allison in a relationship with? And so whoever the person in the crowd catches this just can say, Allison's in a relationship with whoever. So the person says she's in a relationship with Carrot Top. So then Jen takes her pen and writes on the board in a relationship with Carrot Top. Then the other person throws the little thumbs up like thing into the crowd. Somebody else gets it. And then there's another question. And then their response dictates something that she writes on Allison's page, right? So there's 3 things. And then the last person that gets the thumbs up, they say, all right, how many friends does Allison have? 3,125 or whatever. The person just says some random number. She writes that on the board. So now she's got all these crowd-defined things she's written on Allison's fake Facebook page. So she's like, all right, thank Allison. We'll, you can go back to your seat. We'll roll the thing up. And so pretty soon she lowers the box from the ceiling. She opens the box, pulls out a tube, and has written in there everything that she wrote on the Facebook page for Allison now was in the box at the top of the ceiling in the exact order that it happened. So you said Allison's in a relationship with Carrot Top. This says that. It says she's got 3,125 friends. Like everything was written out in this thing that was suspended, at the top of the ceiling. So anyway, it was pretty cool. And that was just one of the things, one of the tricks, but it was pretty cool. So anyway, got to do that during the stay in Vegas, and then doing the race itself was just kind of icing on the cake, right?
Yeah.
I ran over 40, kind of sucked. I didn't run that well until the mains, and then the mains I was doing pretty well and had a shot to get second behind Brent, but I crashed an A3 when Brent won the first 2 mains, but then the A3 was between me and Chris Champlin. He was the second fastest guy in over 40 the whole time, and I actually got by him. He made a mistake, and I was thinking, oh man, I'm going to win this A3. I'm going to get second overall, and then I traction rolled. He got by me, and then I got third overall. So I was starting to get quicker. I think my lap times were definitely getting quicker every race. The other guys were right kind of where they were the whole time, and I was kind of getting up to speed, but a little too late. But the Champlins, who I talked about the dad earlier, Chris Champlin, but he's got 2 sons, Brock Champlin, who I'd considered getting on the show tonight just to talk about his race. But so there's Brock, and then there's Blake Champlin, who all 3 of them race in the Vegas area all the time. They travel to California, race on dirt. They've flown Brock out to a couple of our events this year. Did the Roar Nationals. So they've been kind of making the rounds this year, trying to push getting to be better drivers. And they race usually all the time on carpet, but they do race in dirt also, and they do well at both, which is kind of rare, but very good racers. Brock actually TQ'd in 1 2-wheel, and then Well, I was actually given the permission from Mikhail Orlowski to just call him Michael. He said I could call him Michael.
Oh, okay.
So
That's
Michael
easier.
Orlowski, he came there, representing Schumacher.
Hell yeah, Schumacher.
And he's
You know it.
maybe the hottest guy in the world in carpet. He's an ass kicker on that EOS series. Him and Bruno kind of go back and forth winning on the EOS. So having him come over was a big deal, and it really gave the Champlins, and then Spencer was also racing, kind of gave them a little bit of a measuring stick as to how they've been doing, where they have to improve. And for the most part, Orlowski kind of kicked everyone's ass in four-wheel. He TQ'd in one pretty easily. But in two-wheel, it was a different story. Brock dominated. He TQ'd all 4 rounds of qualifying, and he won the first main and the last main. Second main, his brother Blake won. And I think Spencer got second or third in pretty much every main. Just a touch off the pace from those guys. He hadn't ran carpet for a while, was just a little bit, I'd say, carpet rusty. But the other guys really were practiced up and ready for Michael Orlowski and ready for Spencer. So those guys were fast. Blake, which Brock's brother, actually won Stadium Truck, and their dad got second in over 40, and then Brock won two-wheel. So those guys were ready, and they were hauling ass. So I think the race entry is kind of expensive there because you get tires with your entry, you get a goodie bag, but you get those 2 meals that he does. But when you kind of get past the initial entry or the sticker shock, and then you realize how much you're kind of getting being there in Vegas, the hotel, the meals, it's actually really cool. I think there's a lot of people that the race doubled in size from the first year to the second.
Wow.
It was 100 entries the first year, 200 entries this year. I wouldn't be surprised that it'll be near 300 next year. Even if they keep it on Thanksgiving, I still think a lot of people are going to go. Mm-hmm. It's just a good experience, and felt kind of laid back, but it's still a new track. It's fresh, and people like that. It always feels like a new start. Nobody has an advantage, and so I definitely see us. We'll be back next year and trying to push it. See if Scotty can, keep making it a success that it is, I guess. And we talked about the stock classes on the last episode. We talked about how, the guys with the good motor programs were at a big advantage on the track because of the one jump. And
that one jump that looked like a half pipe.
That was a really hard jump.
God, that looked crazy, man.
That thing kicked my ass.
Did it?
Because it just didn't have a good flow to it. Like when you drove into the face, the car wanted to go straight up to the rafters.
Oh, okay.
So you accelerate into the face of it, and then it kind of like sends the car straight up, and then trying to get it to land and then make that right-hand corner was really tough.
So what do you got to do there to give it a little break, right?
Yeah, you just, it's kind of actually hard for me to even describe how it goes. I just feel like you kind of do it when you're driving. But if I had to kind of remember, you pull a little bit of throttle to kind of get some speed going, to keep your pace up. But then when you drive into the face of that thing, the car just loses all the momentum. So, but if you hit it too hard, it goes up too high. It goes straight up. It's like you're going to jump into the ceiling. So you have to back off right at the last minute and get the car so it just barely clears the top is how I think you really wanted to do it. So you drive into the face as fast as you can, but the fast guys probably brake and then barely get the rear to pop over clear the edge. And then once you're on the back side of it, you can drive down and into the next turn. What I ended up doing is I drive into it a little bit too fast and not slowing down enough at the last second, and you get a little bit too much height, and then you're kind of hung out there to dry in the air a little bit, and then before you can get the tires back on the ground and make the nice turn. So I felt like I was like hanging too long, but I didn't quite have the feel for that jump, and I think I got a little better on it in the mains, because when you were chasing somebody or racing, then you felt like you could see somebody in front of you. Like, oh man, they did it like that. And
right.
I'm gonna adjust, and the next time I'm gonna try a little different. And then you can kind of judge how you're doing. You know, in a qualifier, I feel like you're
out there by yourself, and
yeah, a little bit.
Oh, shit.
And you're just like, I don't want to make a mistake on this because it was kind of tricky, and so.
Yeah. Man, you had to be thinking about that jump the whole time. Like, you're coming around the corner, especially getting ready to go into it, and you're like,
yeah,
shit, here we go.
Well, what was the part that, you know, was confusing is when you would drive into it and and you would get too much air, then you'd get down and land, and then you're a little bit you're trying to hustle a little bit because you know you lost a little. You turn the wheel a little too sharp in that next turn, and then it traction rolls because, you know, carpet is so grippy, and then you're coming off of this downside, so it's already loaded on the left side, and when you make a steering move when the car's loaded that hard on carpet, it doesn't like that. So I'm making it sound a little harder than it really is, but but it is. That's what's happening, and you have to adjust on the fly.
Well, there you have it. IIOC.
Yeah, highly recommended event. And then now we get ready for the national finals, and then we're done for a couple weeks.
Christmas break.
Yeah, what's funny is, you know, it's always kind of annoying to me because we never really, there is no break in this.
Mm-hmm.
You know, we got a lot of racers right now that don't have their sponsorships sorted out for next year. You know, the pro racers, silly season stuff. And I mean, they got to be back on the track second weekend in January with all new sponsors. So, you know, there's some people that have got to hustle here in the next, you know, 3 weeks to be ready to go. And even for us, you know, it's nice to it's nice to have a little bit of a breath sometimes, you know, to kind of regroup and get, you know, tires sorted out for the next race. And but I mean, CRC is the first race of the year, and that's second weekend in January, and we're rocking and rolling right away again.
No off season. There
isn't. It's just I mean, we just got back from the Worlds, and we're still cooking. So, you know, people are asking about, you know, sponsorships and, you know, getting new contracts, and it's like, hey, we are working on all that, but we're still finishing 2018. You know, we still got races we're trying to finish, and we're still trying
2 weeks left. Yeah,
we're trying to do the best we can and finish strong.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, somebody was asking me too. They ran on our series. We have an independent stock class, which we talked about last show and just about every other show. But they had it here at the IOCC as well. But one addition they had is since the event's sponsored by Hobby Wing, they use a 21.5 motor in this independent class instead of 17.5.
Oh, that's right. We had that question.
Yeah,
about switching to 21.5.
Yeah, and you know, we talked about it last show and trying to sort out if this is a good thing or a bad thing. But I know one thing's for sure: they didn't look slow. I mean, when I went out to watch, I was just like, I had to ask somebody. I was like, Ron, you know,
is that a 21.5?
Like, are these 25s again this year? Like, yeah. I'm just like, I don't know. So Yeah, I can see. I could definitely see that becoming something that's a little bit used more often, I guess you could say.
Okay.
Like I said, it's hard to decide what to do because, part of the advantage of RC is you got the speed, and that's part of the excitement. But like we talked about, then there's the control factor, and you got to control it. And how fast do these guys get going before they realize they're out of control? And if you're running an Indy class, which is unsponsored drivers, new drivers, or veteran racers. Maybe it is a good idea to slow them down and have a handout motor like a 21.5. And I'd like to drive one. I'll probably ask Ron to bring one to our race and maybe try it at the beginning of the year and see how it runs. I kind of know how a 17.5 runs, and it's obviously mod, but it'd be nice to get a feel of the 21.5. And, on the track, they look pretty good. Mm-hmm. And, somebody mentioned, on one of the questions, they're like, yeah, it kind of feels like there should be more disparity between stock and mod if you're going to separate by power. And I think that's what the 21.5 is supposed to be doing. Because there's a lot of these indoor races that we run where the track is so small to begin with that there isn't a huge difference between stock and mod, because you really have nothing. There's really nothing modified can do that stock or 17.5 can't do. Very rare.
Yeah, and it could screw you up being too fast.
Yeah. So I think there's obviously the two schools of thought, but the one is this to go to 21.5, and then you see this big difference to modified, which makes it feel like a much larger jump up. And then, but then we got the 17.5 around that is quick, but it's more for the experienced stock racers.
Slow is fast.
That's what they tell you. I think what they try to
in certain situations.
I've never really, I've never really signed off on the fact that slow is fast. What's fast is not crashing. I think that's what they really mean by this when they say that. Take your time. Don't make a lot of mistakes. Your overall time will be fast. I think that's what people are trying to say when they say that. Because if you just drive around the track slow, you're slow.
That's true. Yeah.
So you have to be fast. The fast guys, if you know what you're looking at, look fast. They might look smooth, which means they're not erratic and they're on their marks. And sometimes it looks a little smooth, but they're going fast. If you're just out there tootling around and going wide everywhere and, just going, looking like a turtle, it's like, that's not fast.
When I raced indoors when I was a kid, there was a guy there who was super fast, but you could hear him hitting like every single board. It was like, bam, bam, bam. But he was fast as hell. But that was a case where, slow was fast. Because all you had to do was just go around and you're beating him. But man, he was fast on the straightaway.
He was a slapper.
Yep, slapper.
Yeah, I'm looking forward to going to Beach. That's where we're going this weekend. Beach RC, South Carolina.
Beach RC.
Some of the boys are already there because they went and did the fall brawl.
Oh, okay.
They did the 8-scale race there, which the track was amazing in practice in the first basically 2 rounds of qualifying, and then they got rained out, and it just would not quit raining. And they couldn't run the mains.
Oh, man.
It rained out so bad they couldn't even run the mains, which it does happen sometimes to us here on the East Coast.
Yeah.
We get so screwed on weather sometimes.
Yeah, especially Florida.
Really. It can be bad. When our outdoor tracks on the East Coast are so badass when our weather's good. And when the West Coast guys come, they're always like, they love our tracks. They're just like, man, you guys' tracks are amazing.
Really?
Yeah, they love them. anytime Cavallari and Mayfield and all these guys come and race, Spencer was just there with Paul. They love the track. I mean, but it's the weather, it's so unpredictable. You go from Blue Groove, perfect racing, to the next day to just like a downpour and wishing you could get back out there. But that's the gamble. That's the risk we have over here, and we just kind of live and die with it. Everyone thinks that they can just put a roof over it and you can have the same thing, but the track's never the same when you put a roof over it as it is when it's exposed to the sun. Of course, you still have the big track and everything, but it's just not the same when the sun's not on it. You don't have that same feel, and not everybody has the $400,000 or $500,000 to put a roof over the outdoor track.
Yeah, that could be a little bit of an issue. All right. Well, best of luck this weekend.
Yep, we're gonna need it. It's gonna be stacked. We got a stacked field.
Stay tuned to J Concepts on Facebook for all the updates, interviews.
Yeah, we're going to be hitting it hard. Thomas is going to be there doing his thing. He's going to do some live coverage. We'll do some sit-down interviews like we normally do. Try to snag a couple people we don't normally get to interview this time, maybe, and get mix it up a little bit.
Sweet. If you see Jason there, just walk up to him and tell him how much you like the show, and he'll give you an autograph.
That's right. Free autographs.
Yeah. So best of luck to everybody attending.
I could charge
Jen did.
What's the $1 Million Man guy?
Hey, did you say Jen charged you for that autograph?
No, she didn't.
Oh,
Jen
okay.
Kramer.
Yeah. Yeah, the when you went to Hogan's Beach Shop.
Yeah, it was. But who's the guy that charges because he's Virgil.
Virgil, yep, Lonely Virgil. Yeah. I saw him at Comic-Con years ago. I was just walking by. Hey, you want an autograph for $25?
You're like, not really.
I was like, do you want an autograph for $25? Yeah. So everybody attending the J Concepts race this weekend, best of luck. Put down #RipArmy on the sponsor sheets.
Bring it home.
And there you go. Have fun.
We sent out the 2 prizes today.
Oh, sweet. Tim Razine.
Yep.
And Chili Duncan.
Yep.
They were getting prizes. Jason sent me the photos of the prizes, and they're awesome. So I appreciate that.
Mm-hmm.
So check your mailboxes.
We'll tell Tim who his one came from, so he'll know each driver that kind of contributed to his. Sometimes I go to these things and I snag different things from the drivers, and
Jason rips off their pit table. Hey, where'd my body go?
Right.
Jason taking stuff.
Well, usually what happens, it'll happen sometimes where I get back to the pits, and I'm like looking around, and I'm like, Mayfield's like, I already gave my body away. I'm like, what? Yeah, somebody wanted it. I'm like, man, I wanted that one.
Yeah, need it for Gotti. Now, Mayfield contributes to the show all the time, though, so he's allowed to do that once in a while.
Yeah, exactly. I'll get some stuff when I'm at this race this weekend. We should have got a lot of good drivers here, end of the year.
Yeah. Yeah, because I'm going to do, while you're at the race, I'm going to do a Patreon wrestling match on WWE 2K19. So
cool.
We'll do that for the patrons over at patreon.com/radioimpound. So watch our Facebook page, and I will make that post this weekend during that race.
Cool.
Shout out to our listener, Corey Jordan, good friend of the show, FedEx driver, delivering all those Christmas packages.
I mean, how can you go wrong with the last name Jordan either, No.
Corey, we got to change that last name to Corey Bryant.
Oh, no.
Corey Bryant.
Ugh.
Corey Jordan, we make his 8-hour shift feel like 10.
Yeah,
So
maybe longer.
yeah, he drives the FedEx truck off a cliff.
He's just like, guys, I'm done with this. You're not getting any packages.
Can't take this show any further. Oh my god. I think that's it. I got all the stuff out of the way. Radio Impound on Facebook. Give us a like. Tell your friends to give us a like. Keep up to date. Make sure you click on See First, too. Because I do get some messages like, hey, I didn't see you post about this or whatever. You know what I mean? So when you like a page on Facebook, you got to make sure you mark it as See First. It's usually right where you hit like. And Jason, that might be the case for some of your people that subscribe to your channel or like your page.
That's right.
Because if you don't click that, there's a lot of times you don't see anything that the person posts. So make sure you do that. And then head over to stickit1.com to get your RIP logo. Put it on your car. Take a picture. Send it to us. You can also get it at boomrc.net. And you can get the shirts at carpies.com. And that was episode 184. For December 4th. December 4th. Wow. We're 21 days away from Christmas, Jason. God. Can you believe that? Christmas. What do you get me, buddy? You know what? I'll just wait to see it. All right. Get me out of here, Jason.
Yeah, I don't know. Am I the ender? I think
You're
you
the
do
ender today. You could be the ender. Say, go visit me at jconcepts.net. Follow me on Twitter.
Let me see
Jason
if I can get ready for this. Hold on. Let me see if I can get ready for this. Thanks for joining us here on the Radio Impound podcast. Stay tuned for the next episode coming up shortly after the Indoor National Series. Check us out, J Concepts, on Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, YouTube. Go to the website. It's updated. Check it out. Go to Gotti. Visit him on YouTube. Check him out on Instagram. Kirby Hand, he's out there too. He's shooting people up on YouTube. Check out his videos.
Khand187.
Khand187.
You can check out his Siege videos that he does edit and produce pretty well.
He does. He's really good at it. Even though I haven't watched one yet, but I'm trust he's pretty good at it. All right, guys. Thanks for everything. It was fun. We'll do another one again soon. The road to 200.